Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, as promised, I am bringing you a little houseplant video, and we're going to be talking in this video about African violets. Now, African violets are a houseplant. You can see here, I've had them for a long time, and I currently, I think, only have one or two, and they're starting to pewter out. They're probably 10 years, they're 10 years plus at least. So I did pick up some new ones. These ones were in really rough shape when I got them, but you can look and see they're still in the original plastic planters that they come in. But they were discounted to $1 on clearance, and I picked up two pink ones and a purple one. The purple one's not doing nearly as well, and it might not make it, but these two are looking pretty good right now. So the first thing I did when I brought these home, they were really wilted and really sad looking. What I did was I gave them some water to perk them back up. I made sure not to overwater them, because if you overwater them and they don't use that water, they can rot. But I did give them a good drink to perk them back up. And I've had them here for a couple weeks and they're still in the original pots. Then about a week later, I gave them some diluted half-strength fertilizer water. And then I do that kind of every other watering, half-strength fertilizer. Now I'm getting ready to plant them up. So the first thing I want to do is just clean them up a little bit. You can see there's some old spent flowers. I want to come in here and cut them all off of the plant, just to clean them up and let them put their energy into rooting into the new pots. If you're looking at this, you can see that we cut the flowers off of it, and the plant looks pretty healthy. If you wanted to, you could cut off these larger outer leaves that are kind of out on the edge and just leave the crown in the center. But they're healthy, and I'm going to leave them because the plant is doing pretty good compared to what it was when I picked it up. And the leaves, if you do cut them off, you can actually reroot them and to get a new plant, but I'm not going to be doing that today. Now, this one you can see is more compact. It doesn't have any longer leaves, but it's looking quite good. Now, like I said, I did get 3 of these, but I'm not sure if the one's going to make it. If it does, though, I'll keep you updated and let you know. But we're just doing a little bit of cleanup here before we plant them. Now, as far as the care goes, what I like to use, and I'm going to show you here, are special African violet pots. And I have quite a few of these. We probably have like 7 or 8 of these. You can use a regular clay pot or just a plastic pot, but I really like these. They're decorative and they're really useful. African violets, if you look close, have really fuzzy leaves that are kind of thick and succulent, and they have thick stems that are kind of succulent as well. They don't like having water, especially cold water, standing on the leaves. If you get water on the leaves and it sits on there, it will rot the leaves and it can kill them. Now, that's why we use these pots. These are glazed ceramic pots, but the centers come out. And the inside of this larger pot is glazed, so you can put your water in there and it will hold it. But the outside and inside of the smaller pot is not glazed. So it can wick the water from here up in and just water the root of the African violet without watering, getting the leaves or stems wet. And I've used these pots for years and years and years, and my African violets did really well in them. This is the same idea on this one. Now, this one I used to have a pink African violet in with double flowers, but after about 10 years it finally passed away. But these are quite small. They're not too deep or wide, but the African violets don't need a really large pot. They can grow pretty well in a smaller pot. they don't have really extensive root systems. So as far as the potting mix goes, I'm just using generic Miracle Grow potting mix that you would use for, you know, your house plants. It's not organic, but these are just house plants to look at and have on the windowsill, so I don't worry too much about the mix being organic or not. And it has, if you look at it in it, a bit of coconut fiber. It has some perlite, a little bit of vermiculite, and some organic matter. If you wanted to, you could mix up your own mix. You could use 1 part sand to 2 parts compost to 1 part vermiculite. That'll be good draining. But these ones, this mix isn't the best, quickest draining mix, but it is pretty loose and airy, so that my violets tend to do good in it. Now we're going to take the African violet out, and if you look at this, you'll see this is a solid cover pot that it was in, and this came from the nursery like this. And then this is just a cheaper pot, but it has holes in the bottom, and it's the same idea as these pots back here. It allows for the plant to wick up the water from the bottom. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the lighting for these guys, and you can watch me replant it. Now, the lighting, ideally, I would say that you would put your African violets in a east-facing window where they get direct morning sun. That's what I normally do, and they seem to really like the morning sun best. The second best that you can do is pulled back from a west window, and then as a last option, you can also do a southern window, but kind of keep a blind on the window so they don't get too strong of sun. If the sun's too strong, then it could potentially burn the leaves and kill them. North windows can work sometimes, but they aren't ideal as they don't really get enough direct light for the plant. The plant can grow in a north window, but they don't really bloom as well. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm putting the soil in here, and this is how I kind of gauge this whole thing. I see how deep it is with this pot, and I need to go a little bit deeper. Every couple years, what I do is I'll pull the African violet out, loosen up the root ball that's in this pot, and then I'll just replant it into the same original pot with new fresh soil. They don't really need a bigger pot because they don't really have deep root systems. Alrighty. So I've got the African violet in the pot, but now I gotta fill in the edges, which can be a little difficult as some of the leaves have thick succulent stems and they're hard to bend, but if you just take your time, it'll all work out. So we'll show you the finished product once they're both potted up. Now, being that African violets are kind of smaller, shallow-rooted plants, they don't have real thick roots. They have kind of thin, fibrous roots. It's a good idea to just, when you're pushing the soil down in, you want to make sure you get rid of all the air pockets that are on the edge of the plant, but it's a good idea to make sure that you're doing it gently. You don't want to pack it in really hard and firm because it'll be difficult for the plant's roots to get down in there. You want to give it some space. And this part, you just want to take your time on. Alright, so now as you can see, both of these African violets are potted up in the pots. We put them in new potting soil, and if you look at the soil, It's a bit moist, you can tell by the dark color. So we're not going to water them for probably 5 to 7 days yet, just so they can kind of settle in before watering them. And now, as a quick overview, preferably they will have morning sun in an eastern window. That's what they prefer, in my experience. Fertilize them every other watering, about half strength. You can let them dry out in between waterings. They do just fine like that. And repotting isn't that necessary, maybe every few years. Just refresh the soil. And that's basically the overall care. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like the video if you like what you're seeing, and subscribe to the channel. And like I said, I'll keep you updated on these as they grow and progress. And I'll also give you an update on the other one that I have, whether or not it makes it. So thanks for watching and have a good day.